crafters, welcome to my channel Crafters Autonomous. It is Amanda here, and today we are going to be making a scarecrow. So let's look at our materials before we start assembling our scarecrow. The main components we need are a shirt, I like this plaid button-up one, and some overalls for the body. So both of these items I got at Goodwill. Some tips for that, try to look in the kids section because the kids clothing is cheaper than the adults, and you'll probably have better luck finding a pair of overalls for kids than for adults. Also try to go on a day when they have sales going, like they have the different colored tags on discount prices. That's the body. Then we need something for the head. What I found was this shirt. It's just a t-shirt, one of those Gildan ones, heavy cotton. And I found this at my Dollar Tree, so this was only $1, which was super awesome. Also at the Dollar Tree, I got this natural raffia. It's like that hay kind of stuff. Again, only $1. We'll need some gloves. I already have these on hand. And lastly, you'll want some boots for the feet. So those are the big components. There's a few other things that you might want to have on hand. You can also have some rope on hand. I'm gonna use this in a couple spots to help assemble this. We will need to stuff it, so I'm going to be stuffing mine with towels and plastic grocery store bags. And lastly, we will need to close up some of the holes on the clothes. So instead of sewing them shut, we're gonna use binder clips. So the first thing we need to do is work on assembling the body. So let's start with that. Step one is going to be stuffing the shirt. First thing we want to do is we want to button it up and inside out it. So once you have your shirt buttoned up, we want to inside out it. Don't worry about inside outing the sleeves. The sleeves can just kind of stay on the inside. So don't feel like you need to pull the sleeves all the way out here. So the first thing that we want to do is we essentially want to seal the bottom so that way when we stuff it, the stuffing won't fall out the bottom. So to seal it, I'm going to get some binder clips. You can use big ones, little ones, and I'm just gonna binder clip these together. So I'm just gonna start here in the center. Get a binder clip there, and I'm folding those over just because I don't think it really makes a difference one way or the other. As you might notice, I did leave some big gaps in there. That's because we're gonna use towels and plastic bags, and they're not gonna be able to go through as well as you might think. So you don't need to do a ton to seal this together. So now when we inside out this, we'll have a seal at the bottom. You may think, yeah, it's inside out it, but we need to do one other thing first. If we look at our overalls here, we can see that the shirt is much wider than our overalls. If we don't take a tuck in it with the binder clips, what'll happen is it'll not fit well in here and then it'll bulge really weird under the armpits. So to fix that, what we're going to do is we're going to take up some excess in the back along the middle, so that way it's narrower than our overalls. So really simple, I'm gonna kind of pinch it, fold it here, and then I'll fold this edge over a little bit. Again, I'm not being super precise with this. This thing's pretty forgiving. You just want to make sure that it'll be thin enough to actually fit within the overalls. So now if we look at this, if we were to tuck this in, we can see how it's gonna be a much better fit and it won't do this really wide spread there. So once we have done the binder clip tuck in the back and along the bottom, now it's time to inside out it. If you need to, you can undo another button up top because it might make it a little bit easier to right side back out. So basically what we've accomplished is we've sealed off the bottom so our stuffing will stay inside, and we took a tuck in the back to make it fit better. You may not need to take a tuck in the back if your shirt size fits really well with the size of your overalls. So now it's time to start stuffing ours. You have several options. You can stuff it entirely with plastic bags, but if you stuff it entirely with plastic bags, the pro is it's really good out in the weather because, you know, it's just plastic, it's gonna survive the season. The downside is it takes a lot of these, and over the season they'll kind of squish down and your scarecrow will kind of like melt almost. So because I didn't have enough plastic bags, and also to make it a little sturdier, I'm going to be using some towels in the base of my body and also in the jeans some, so that way it'll be a little more supported and will stuff well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at my towels. I've kind of already got them folded up, and I already assembled this once to make sure this works, by the way. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold my towels so that way they're about the width of my shirt, and therefore they will also be about the width of the jeans, because if our towel rolls are too wide, for example, this one doesn't fit super well in the jeans, like in the overall part, so it's really hard. So we want things that are thin enough to fit. And basically, I'm just gonna roll it up, almost like a cinnamon roll. And this is a pretty thin towel, so I'll do one more rolled around it. Again, this towel is also rolled to about the same width this way. And I'm going to take it and put it in the bottom of the shirt. And I'm gonna put it in essentially that direction. Like I said, that's part of why we don't need a ton of binder clips to make that seam at the bottom. But now we're starting to stuff the shirt. I'm going to do some more towel rolls. And these are like junk towels, so that way if they get wet during the season or anything, that I can just, pop them in the washer and dryer, but they're not like fancy towels or anything. So don't use your nice towels for this project. So now this towel's a little bit wider, it kind of hangs over some. So what I'm going to do to correct that is I'm just gonna take an extra little like tuck on the side here, fold some extra in, and then fold this Barbie towel in half, so that way it's the same width. Again, just roll it up and stuff it inside there. So that's filling in the body. Now I do have this one that's wider. I'm gonna do a wider one up top so that way the shoulders are nice and filled in. And this part will be above the jean pant part, so it'll fit, even though it's wider. And I'll kind of tuck it in the sleeves a little bit. Once I have it up to about the neck, I'll probably add some plastic bags up top here. I will button up the shirt, and I'm going all the way to the top button, kind of like Adrian Monk. And then we're gonna pause here. We're now gonna move on to the jeans. And what we're gonna do with the jeans is we're essentially gonna create, I don't know, the butt, if you will, the hips and everything right here with a big towel roll, and then we're gonna put the shirt into the jeans. So again, that may take some playing around with figuring out how to properly stuff yours, because yours probably won't be exactly like mine. If I put the shirt in directly as is and then stuff the legs with the grocery store bags like I'm planning to do, it didn't sit up super well. So what I'm going to do is take one of my wide green towels, roll it up, and put it here in the butt, hips, whatever you want to call this, and kind of let it go down the pant legs a little bit. And now we're gonna put the shirt into the overalls. I feel like I'm like getting a kid dressed for school or something. So if we did our towel rolls right, they will fit inside the pants, which they do, because I've already tested this. And just start stuffing the shirt into the overalls until they rest on the towel roll that's already in there. Once you've got it in there, tighten the clasp on top. And now you've kind of got your body together. Another great thing to do is to pick it up like this and kind of shake it so that way it sits down in there well, and you can kind of adjust how the fabric and material is. But with the way it is right now, when I can kind of prop it up on something, it'll kind of sit up on itself, but it makes it pretty sturdy. So while we're at it, let's go ahead and stuff the arms and the legs. I've already gone through and divided up my bags because I know how much I need to stuff. What I recommend for stuffing is, first of all, that you take your bags and open every single one of them up to kind of fluff them a little bit versus crushing them inside of each other, because keeping them separate will stretch your bags further. Also for like the shoulder area, I like to use a bigger bag like this fold bag here and kind of fold it in half and then work it up the sleeve, because I feel like it just helps the shoulders get shaped better. To use a bigger bag just makes it a little sturdier in my opinion. And then I'm just gonna take bags one by one and stuff them up the sleeves until I get the look that I want. I'll stuff it about to there because we're gonna add the gloves, so we'll leave that good enough for now, and I'll repeat on the other side, and then I will also stuff the legs. All right, so now if we look at what we've got, we have this awesome Scarecrow body. So let's set this off to the side and we'll give them a head so we can have a face. So now that the body is assembled, let's talk about the head. So as I mentioned, I am just using this shirt that I found at Dollar Tree. The one thing I will mention is I kind of lied. You technically could do some sewing. I'm gonna do a little bit of sewing on mine to add a face. So I'm gonna do like button eyes and a mouth and everything. So I've got a whole bunch of scrap buttons here and I'm just playing around with how I want the face to look. I would recommend figuring out how you want it to look before you do the next few steps, and possibly even sew them on before you do the next few steps, because it will make it a little bit easier. All right, so I figured out how I'm going to do my face. I'll show you these next steps before I sew them on. Also, if you don't want to do a face like this, you can always paint on a face. But regardless, we're gonna prep our shirt the same way. I'm going to start by inside outing it. Now that it's inside outed, we need to figure out where our head is going to be. For me, my head's gonna be this top section, which means I need to close off these holes here. Again, we're gonna use my friendly little binder clips. You may also want to, at these corners here, kind of fold them over and pinch them off so that way you get a more rounded face shape, which is what I'm going to do. Kind of fold this over so it's not such a sharp corner there. With the sleeves, I'm going to fold these under. I'll kind of flip it over to show you. I'm gonna fold it under and I'm gonna go along this seam here to close it off. And you may find you'll need to play with it a little bit if you don't quite get the shape you want on your first try. Again, you can kind of round it out if you want by using the binder clips and positioning them so it's a little rounder and has less of a corner shape. But note that this is the back side, the other side's gonna be the front. All these excess pieces, I'm folding to the back versus to the front. Feet on the right side. And I promise this doesn't have to be perfect, it's actually really forgiving. So once you do this step, I recommend that you pause and inside out it to see what your shape is like. I think this is pretty good for the top. I may tweak it a little bit more. I think that's pretty good for the top. So let's re-inside out it, because if you're using a shirt like mine, you're gonna have a lot of excess down at the bottom. And we're essentially going to stuff this and tie it off with either the rope or the raffia. Your options are either you can cut the excess off, or like me, we can fold the excess out of the way. Here's how we do that. I'm gonna re-inside out our shirt and then fold just part of it over itself. Like so, until it's the height that I want it to be, and that looks pretty good to me. And then while it's like that, I'm gonna, keeping this part folded, I'm gonna inside back out it, or right side back up. So that way now it's like I have a much smaller sack almost, if you will. Now for the fun part, we're going to stuff it with bags or with a towel. I like doing it with the bags personally, just because it's a little lighter. Again, I already measured out how many bags I want to stuff in mine, and I personally found that stuffing the head more versus less works better. But just stuff it until you get the result that you want. There's not really a right or wrong way to do this. So let's pause for a moment. This is kind of what my head looks like, and it looks really weird right now. I am going to be putting like a cowboy hat on this, so the top part will be covered, so I'm okay with that. But if you want to adjust any of your seams, now would be a good time to do it. Also, it doesn't look super round. This looks kind of pointed. What we're going to do is though, we're going to bunch this excess up right here and then tie it off. So I would start by just kind of testing it and seeing if that's what you want your head to look like. Also test it, against your Scarecrow body. But for me, that looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to squish the bags down in there, and I'm going to start gathering these edges together. So I'm kind of coming from the right side, the left side, top and bottom, scrunching it up here. Basically gathering all the edges together. And then I've just got a piece of rope, and I'm going to tie it around these gathered up edges. And then that is my head. Again, we can add a face on at any time we want. So I'm gonna go ahead and add my face on, and then I'll show you the next few steps. All right, so this is our Scarecrow so far. We've got the body mostly assembled, we've got the head assembled. For the head, I'm pretty much just sticking it on the top there. This will look super cute if you had like a hay bale to set him on. If you wanna make him stand up, you could of course run PVC up the back of the overalls and then into the head, and that would also keep the head from falling off. I don't really have much concern that the head's gonna fall off here, so I'm okay with that, unless my cats mess with it. But I am gonna go ahead and put the hat on there. I've just got this like cowboy hat. It's so cute. Also, if you don't wanna bother with the face, you could always kind of put a hat kind of on the front like it's sleeping to avoid that. And I'll probably prop them up here a little bit differently in a bit once I get everything else assembled. But the next thing I'm going to do is add the hands. I've got a glove here, and I'm gonna stuff it with a grocery store bag, and I'm gonna put it on the arm and use some more rope to tie it up, kind of like we did with the neck. Now this is where the raffia stuff comes in. I'm gonna tuck some of this coming out of the glove here in a moment. So it looks like we stuffed it with hay when really we stuffed it with towels and paper bags. You of course can also use this for hair on the sides of the hat. And this I can tuck into the glove and spread it around to give it that nice Scarecrow look. And I'll give you some closer shots of this once I get it assembled. I of course also have my boots here. And again, I'll get more of the raffia stuff and tuck it in, coming out of the boot. And then really the last thing to do is just add any more of the raffia wherever we want to make it look like there's extra straw. I'll probably do some coming out of the top of the shirt, do out of the sides of the overalls as well. And there you have it. Now you have your own homemade Scarecrow. I think this turned out so cute. And I love how there's so many different ways to customize it. You of course can paint a face on, do buttons like I did. You could even get some scraps of fabric and sew them on to make it kind of a patchwork looking face, like the cheeks. I did those little apple buttons as the cheeks. I think looks really cute. You can play around with the hair, give it long hair, short hair just sticking out the sides, wherever you want it to look. And then the nice thing is, when you're done for the season, you unstuff everything, keep using your towels, recycle the grocery store bags, fold up the clothing, and it's really small to store throughout the rest of the year. Now, if you enjoyed watching this video, make sure that you hit the like button and also subscribe.